Hello and welcome to the whatever we are. I don't know what we're called the Metropolitan Elite, I think. Yeah, that's what we are because we just had a phone call and we've been told to dial in. Let's dial in to the lizards who are telling us to say things because none of these things affect us in our every tower. Obviously, we're not involved. In fact, we just sneer.
I don't think we've got any opinions of our own, are we?
No. We just do what we're told.
Yeah, basically. Okay.
Yeah.
So what have they said this week then, Kev?
Well, it's not been long since our last video. We are recording this on the Wednesday after the Saturday when we put our video. And so the main thing that's happened was that the junior doctor strike happened. I realised I don't know much about it. Well, the media's attitude to it, the government's attitude to it, is extreme.
Okay. I mean, we've done a bit on the junior doctor strike before, the contract negotiations. So, I mean, there's a couple of things interesting. The consensus seemed to be that the way the fallout of this was going to work was who gets the sympathy? Does the government get the sympathy, or are people sympathetic towards the junior doctor's cause? Actually, looking at Twitter and the news feeds yesterday, I get the sense that actually there was a lot of sympathy for the junior doctors.
So, from Twitter,
Well, from all sides, really. I mean, the news were desperately trying to find someone who didn't agree with the Twitter, and you got one guy come through shouting at junior doctors about their Hippocratic oath and stuff like that. But that was about it, really.
Yeah.
Apart from that, you got lots of people coming out in support of the junior doctors. I mean, the Daily Politics does its stupid thing where it puts balls in boxes. That, not scientific, as per usual, came out massively in favour of the junior doctors. So the expectation is that actually the junior doctors are in the driving seat. Although Laura Koonsberg today on the Daily Politics,
we talked about that last week,
said that there seems to be a sense in the government that things are starting to go their way because a lot of ministers are coming out saying we've got a manifesto pledge that we've to enforce this.
Yeah.
But the thing you've got to remember about that is that if, let's say, the junior doctors caved, BMA caved, and they accepted this contract, we wouldn't have a 24-hour, 7-day health service. This is just one tiny part of a 24-hour, 7-day health service. The major issue with this is that junior doctors feel the bad old days will come back. Now, the bad old days under the last Tory government. And
I didn't realise how bad it was.
It was really bad. I remember, regularly you see doctors on news a 60-hour working week minimum, sort of thing. Yeah. And when one of the things that New Labour did when they come in is they actually put money into the NHS and got more doctors in so that they could cut down the hours, which was unsafe basically. I mean, even though doctors were working ridiculously long hours, you still have patients queuing up in corridors on beds waiting to be seen.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
it didn't work.
There's definitely a sense that the Conservatives have form on this and that people are automatically distrustful because of the state they let the NHS get into.
Yeah,
before.
Like with Labour with the economy. Well, we won't go into that obviously, but that's certainly the consensus is that it was Labour's fault in the 70s.
Yeah.
And that's why people don't trust them on it.
Yeah.
It really should be said though that obviously you get the stereotype. They're reading the Daily Mail, they go into work at 9 o'clock and they make a cup of tea and they sit down at the computer, they open their emails, and then they go on Facebook for a bit. I've been working this many hours, I work harder. But yeah, people will say, well, I've done 60-hour weeks. Yeah, I have as well. But when they say working all night, they don't mean working very late. Yeah. They mean working all night and then the daytime as well.
Yeah.
Not working all night is not working till 4 a.m. and then going to bed. They mean they don't go home and then they carry on the next day. Yeah, and that's dangerous. And remember, the fact that you've got to make a spreadsheet is not the same as someone's life is in your hands. It's got to be done right. It doesn't matter whether you like them or not or any of that stuff. We've got to make sure that it's done right.
Interestingly, you mentioned the Daily Mail there. It was a HuffPost piece, so basically it's Huffington Post commenting on some other bit of social media and turn it into a news story. But I mean, it was quite interesting that The Daily Mail ran a piece yesterday trying to denigrate the junior doctors. The usual stuff, people are, they're putting patients' health at risk and stuff like that. But HuffPost pointed out that a lot of the commentators on Daily Mail, the Daily Mail readers, actually were posting in support of the junior doctors. So Daily Mail readers are actually massively important in favour of the junior doctors' sort of cause.
Yeah. I mean, completely unscientifically, it does seem this is the most supported strike in history. I mean, normally strikes makes you unpopular. Whatever, when teachers strike, that makes them unpopular. That's why I say they probably shouldn't do it. It just harms them. This one, because I imagine this has gone on for years, really, and this really is a final straw, because they haven't struck for so long. Everyone seems to see it as a reasonable thing.
Well, there is I think the issue is in this scenario is junior doctors tend to come from a specific background, i.e. quite wealthy middle class people who...
Are they not immigrants?
Well, there's a lot of immigrants. Well, okay, so the British junior doctors tend to be fairly wealthy middle class people, educated in public school.
Because they're the people who've had the right education to do it.
Yeah. This is a generality, it's not a rule. I'm sure you can find people who've gone to convent school become doctors. But this puts them on a level footing with a lot of the people who normally criticise strikes. So it's very difficult for them to come out and criticise it, because the people they're criticising are theoretically their equals. You look at that compared to the tube strikes that have just been announced.
Yeah,
there will be a deluge of criticism.
But they earn a lot more than junior doctors. People may not realise how little they earn. You should check out how much they actually earn. It's not as much as you think.
Well, that's it. There is even with the public perception that junior doctors earn fantastic amount of money, and doctors, they spend a couple of hours at the office and then go down to the golf course and then, go out to dinner and stuff like that. That's not true.
At all.
Not true. Even given those preconceptions, there is a lot of sympathy for junior doctors, because at the end of the day, when something goes wrong, you make use of these doctors in the most severe of circumstances, and everyone's got experience of having to go to the hospital or to the doctor to get some kind of treatment for themselves or for a family member or a friend, and that sort of feeling of helplessness when you go in it feeds into the idea that actually, if I'm surrendering myself
I need this.
to these people, then I have to be able to trust them.
Even if you're a massively sort of selfish, ideologically speaking, you see yourself as a libertarian, and I look after myself. All these people are at the mercy of this. Only the minority who have got completely private healthcare, they're at the mercy of it, aren't they? Yeah. So they can slag off teachers because they don't have to worry about that. They're going to go back to school.
Yeah. So I mean, the strikes went off. I think without a hitch, really. There was a story of where they were asked, one actually close to here, Sandwell and Dudley. Mm-hmm. They were asked to come back to work because there was a category 4 priority, which they refused to do, and it turned out it was exactly the same as scenario over Christmas, and they weren't called. A lot of doctors weren't called in over Christmas, so why are you calling us in now? Mm. The government went missing for the day. Jeremy Hunt didn't do a single interview. There was a bit of shutdown about that. We've all seen the clip of the interview where I think that was actually Sky News. I don't think it was BBC. I think BBC just sort of covered it as they do, where they said we're not getting into the conversation of where Jeremy Hunt is. Well, why the friggin' hell not?
Well, there was this interview, wasn't there? Did you see the interview?
Yeah.
On the BBC, that was amazing. That was Orwellian stuff, and obviously Jeremy Hunt's hiding in a box, like Lord Percy in Blackadder. Yes, my lord, he's hiding in the box. And so they sent this guy who's, I don't know what he's, a consultant or something. So they asked him, so where's Jeremy Hunt then? And some spin doctor from behind goes, oh, we're not talking about any of that nonsense. You've agreed to any of these questions. And he says, what are you talking about? No, I haven't. And that, obviously, I imagine that guy's been told off now because he's become national. He's cracked the veneer, if you like, and you see what's going on. Put it all together, Linton Crosby getting a knighthood and everything, These are dark times, they've got away with it because of people being partisan. Because this is New Labour. Again, New Labour were doing this as well, just the same.
Yeah.
I think this is worse, but they're just doing the same thing, and expecting everyone to toe the line. And obviously, the right-wing media do toe the line, and usually the BBC toe the line as well. And in this case, unintentionally, actually, the BBC didn't. and they had this bit of video of, really? They actually sort of, no, stop asking questions, you can't talk to anyone, which means they lost the argument.
Yeah. I mean,